Hello, everyone. My name is Ethan Lopez, and for my drug presentation, I chose codeine. So here's the structure of codeine. If you're familiar with the structure of morphine, codeine is almost exactly the same. The only difference is that here on this carbon 3O, we have a methyl group. So once this is demethylated and turns into an OH, then you have morphine, but we can get more into that later. So we can get into names and approval dates. So codeine is prescribed in its salt-bound form, also known as codeine sulfate or codeine phosphate. There are many codeine-containing medicines, but the only solo codeine medicine I could find is Codeine, which is a Spanish medicine. Here's its IUPAC name. I will not be repeating it because it is quite long and tedious. But yeah, I had some trouble finding an approval date because opium has been used for millennia and the poppy plant has been used for a very long time, and codeine was only isolated in 1832, which predates the existence of the FDA and the DEA, so I had a lot of trouble finding an approval date. However, this drug gained a lot of popularity in the 70s and 60s as a recreational drug and as an opioid analgesic. So, the discovery of codeine. As I previously mentioned, this drug was first discovered in 1832 by French chemist Pierre-Jean Robiquet. Since codeine is a derivative of opium, codeine has been used as a pain reliever since ancient times. And since opium is derived from the poppy plant, opium has been used basically since the birth of medicine. So there's that. And within a poppy plant, you can see here on the bulbs, you have this white substance. About 2.5% of that is actually codeine. So, but to produce codeine nowadays, the methylation of the 3-carbon hydroxyl 2-methoxide on morphine is performed. So we're making codeine from morphine. As for uses and treatable conditions, as I've mentioned, codeine is an opioid analgesic used to treat mild to moderate pain, and this is not sudden pain, this is mild to moderate chronic pain. So codeine has also been used as an antitussive, but this has been highly debated. An antitussive is simply a cough suppressant. So in a double-blind study between codeine and a placebo, the recipients had a common respiratory illness like the common cold, and it was found that codeine had very little to no effect on suppressing a cough. So its use as an antitussive has been highly debated. But its popularity as an opioid analgesic comes from the fact that it's very accessible and far less potent than morphine. And until recently, it was used in patients of all ages. So kids were taking codeine. Children of below the age of 5 were taking codeine. So it was just a very accessible, very simple drug. Not simple, but yeah. Anyway, codeine is almost always used in tandem with other drugs, so antihistamines like promethazine. This is used for allergic responses, and other pain relievers like aspirin or acetaminophen or other NSAIDs. So here we have the measure of effectiveness. Codeine actually acts as a prodrug. So we take codeine, and then codeine is metabolized to morphine and codeine 6-gluconoride. So I will be discussing the measure of effectiveness of morphine then. So we have the EC50, which is the concentration of morphine effective in producing 50% of the max response. The EC50 of morphine is 50 to 100 nanomolar. As for the IC50, or the concentration of morphine required to inhibit response by 50%, we have about 30 micromolar. So, talking about metabolites, as I said, we have morphine here. If you recall from earlier, this is the structure of morphine is incredibly similar to the structure of codeine. The only difference is this OH here on the benzene ring. This OH is vital and very, very important for binding to the drug target. And here we have 6-codeine-gluconoride. 6-codeine-gluconoride is, while it still can be used as an analgesic, it's not nearly as effective as morphine is. So here's the major metabolic pathway of codeine. So codeine goes into the liver cells and it goes through some cytochrome P450s. So codeine is then metabolized to either codeine 6-gluconoride, norcodeine to morphine, and then morphine is then metabolized to morphine 3-gluconoride, or goes straight to the mu opioid G protein coupled receptor. or morphine can also turn into morphine 6-gluconide, where this sugar group is down here on this OH instead. So we have the mechanism of action. As I mentioned previously, codeine turns into norcodeine in the liver cell, or to codeine 6-gluconide, or to morphine. So we're going to focus on morphine here because that's our primary opioid analgesic that's a result of codeine. So here up top we have morphine that's being bound to the mu opioid receptor, which is a G protein coupled receptor. So in this process, we're stopping the production of CAMP in the adenylate cyclase enzyme, which leads to a decrease in CAMP, which decreases calcium, which causes the closing of a calcium channel, which then causes the opening of a potassium channel, and all of this works in tandem to decrease pain and to produce analgesic effects. So morphine acts as an agonist for the mu, kappa, and delta G protein coupled receptors in the central nervous system. And here we have morphine at the binding site. So now we can see the drug target. So now we have this benzene group that is able to have an interaction with the nonpolar region of this protein. We have this quaternary ammonium salt that's able to make an ionic bond up here with a negatively charged amino acid, and then of course we have down here an H bond that's able to be bound with a polar region within the amino acid. So up close we have the mu opioid GPCR. So this is morphine. It's just at a different angle. So to kind of summarize the fate of codeine, unlike morphine, codeine can be orally ingested in the form of a tablet or syrup. So morphine, as I'm sure many of you are aware, is injected via syringe or needle. So codeine is different in the way that it's ingested in a much simpler way and a much more accessible way. So its 3-carbon methyl group allows the drug to travel directly through the gut, whereas then metabolized in the liver. And as I mentioned previously, this acts as a prodrug, where it undergoes phase 2 metabolism in cytochromes P450, where codeine is then converted to either 6-codeine gluconide or morphine. So 6-codeine gluconide and morphine then travel across the blood-brain barrier, where they act as agonists for the mu opioid GPCR. And as a result of this, pain relief is felt, and pain reduction signals transmitted to the brain are reduced. And I can only find one pathway resistance, so only about 10% of codeine is actually metabolized to an actual analgesic. So only 10% of this is going to be used in pain relief. Only 10% is going to go to the brain and actually affect how you feel. The other 90% is excreted as inactive metabolites, which we saw a little bit of earlier in the form of norcodeine. So codeine has quite a bit of side effects, which includes respiratory depression, drowsiness, depression, nausea and vomiting, constipation, bradycardia, which is just slowing of the heartbeat. So since this drug can cause respiratory depression, this drug can be fatal. So in high doses, this can cause you to die, right? And since codeine is metabolized to morphine, this drug is therefore addictive and can be abused. Other side effects include sedation, euphoria, feelings of being disconnected from your body, and vivid dreams. So codeine stands out, ironically, because of how unremarkable it is. It is one of, if not the most prescribed opioid in the world, and unlike other opioids, like fentanyl, codeine is an effective and safe way of treating mild to moderate pain. However, for this reason, codeine's reputation as a relatively safe drug has actually made people ignore its dangers. So codeine has been used a lot, especially recently, as a recreational drug. So recreational usage can create addiction. Lethal doses of morphine may be metabolized in someone's body, and not to mention it's teratogenic and is highly advised against the use in breastfeeding women, and is no longer recommended for uses in children, because children, unsurprisingly, can metabolize codeine very quickly, and children can have a lethal dose of morphine in their body. And women who are breastfeeding can transmit through breastfeeding a lethal dose of morphine to an infant. So here you have a bit of a meme. We have codeine, which is saying you guys always act like you're worse than me. We have fentanyl, hydrocodone, and oxycodone. Which, to be fair, fentanyl and oxy and Vicodin are all very very addictive. But that isn't to say that codeine isn't also addictive and isn't also dangerous in high doses, but not quite as much as fentanyl. So it's really hard to mention codeine without mentioning the list of uses of codeine. So ever since the 1960s, people have been using codeine as a recreational drug, and due to it causing the user to feel a state of euphoria and relaxation, it has become very very popular and easily accessible because of how often it's prescribed. Now, since the 1990s, codeine and promethazine syrup, in combination with soda and candy, has led to the creation of lean or purple drink. As you can see here, you have the makings of lean. And this concoction has been popularized by rap music, and this has led to a lot of people, especially young people, to use this drug. Now, I know it may seem simple, it may seem like a very simple drug to make, but it is quite dangerous and very very addictive. And recently there have been rappers that have come out saying that this addiction is really bad. So anyway, that's the end of my presentation. I hope you enjoyed, and thank you for watching.